welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of last year's Christmas presents and sharing my thoughts. Were they worth it? Were they not worth it? So if you enjoy this type of content and other homeschool and lifestyle content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. So I made a similar video like this last year. I went through several years and went through things that we liked and things that we regretted getting as Christmas gifts, but I thought it might be helpful just to review last year's gifts and let you know some of my thoughts. I'm not gonna go through everything. It's not gonna be completely comprehensive because that would just be a lot, and some of it was like clothing items and things like that. But I'm gonna go through some of the things and probably just put pictures up here on the screen, not the screen, of things that I can still find on Amazon, because most of the things my kids have used, there's at least one item we've thrown away. So those are just a little bit hard. It's hard for me to bring them and show you because they're not in the maybe best condition or anything, you know, they're loved and used, so that's good. But I'll just put pictures up here and then I'll link them down below, and you can see the original items, like when we bought them last year, if you want to look at that Christmas video, what I got my kids for Christmas in 2023. And so I'll make sure I link that down below as well. All right, so the first thing is Legos. I think we specifically got Ninjago Legos, and we usually do some sort of Lego advent, not necessarily by Lego, but just something like that. Sometimes it's like a knockoff brand or whatever for an advent calendar, and those are always a hit. I feel like Legos is a good option for so many kids, and it's, you know, STEM related. It helps them build things. It's really using their brain in a more intense way than just like, here's a noisy toy or something like that. So I love giving Legos, even though some of them can be very pricey. There are some good brands that aren't the Lego brand, and those ones generally are a little bit cheaper, especially as my kids get older and we're trying to buy bigger sets, you know, because they need to be harder for them. It is a more pricey item generally, but I try to look at different options, find sales and things like that. But I think Legos is always just a wonderful option. And then last year we got my oldest son a whole bunch of drawing things. I have my computer open here so I can remember all the things, but we got him a book on how to like draw cartoons. We got him some pens that have different fine tips to them, like different size, so you could outline your drawings. We got like alcohol-based markers, and then a whole just drawing kit that had a few different things that had some of the like needed erasers, some different types of pencils with a different hardness and soft, you know, different things like that. I'm not a drawer. And so I don't know all the things, but he really enjoys drawing. He's doing it way more now for homeschool this year. And that's one of his electives is kind of like a drawing type course. And so he's using the stuff quite a bit. I feel like he goes through waves of using it. He'll maybe get bored or something and need something new to try. And so then he'll turn back to all of his drawing supplies, pull it out, and one day he'll just be up there drawing, and then he'll leave it alone for a while. But I think for the most part, he really enjoys it. He has experimented a little bit with the markers. They are like, it's a learning curve to figure out how to do them. He watched some like YouTube tutorials and things like that of how to shade with the alcohol-based markers. Again, I am not an artist in that sort of way, and so I really know very little about it. But he has enjoyed the set. He's enjoyed using all the different things. And this year like I said, for homeschool, he's doing it as an elective, like drawing. Right now he's doing more like 3D art using Blender. But before that, he was doing just some art classes, and we were doing those on Skillshare. So we got a membership for Skillshare for the year, and he's gone through a few different classes, just some very basic things, and he's really enjoyed it. It's something that I don't have to remind him to do. He just does it. And now he has taken some Blender courses. They also have those on Skillshare. So I like that there's a variety there. So if you have someone that wants to be an artist or is looking kind of in that field, like maybe a Skillshare membership, I'm like, this is just gonna be a general like recommendations video as well, obviously. But I feel like that could also be a good idea because there's just a lot of courses on there for a variety of learning types, whether it is drawing or other types of art or cooking. You know, there's just a lot of really good things on Skillshare, and you can use it for your whole family too. It doesn't have to just be for one child. So it could also be a really good option. The next thing was a calligraphy set, and I got this for my 11-year-old daughter. She was 10 at the time. And I feel like the set itself is really good, but she has not pulled it out like hardly at all to do it. And so maybe it just isn't. So I think we got it to see if it'd be something she likes, because she loves doing cursive. And so like when we do handwriting for homeschool, she was very, very excited to move up into the next level of handwriting and start doing cursive and all that stuff. And she loves doing it and loves making, she'll sign her name all with cursive, you know, and make it all cute. She loves that sort of thing. So I thought she would like it a lot, but she really hasn't pulled it out. So maybe if she gave it a chance, she would like it. But I feel like the set itself is really good. I know there's a lot of other good sets out there too for drawing and for writing. Jordan Page has recently mentioned some. I don't remember what they're called. If I can find what she has mentioned, then I'll link it down below. But if you have someone that just loves to write or have cutesy writing or make letters, like letters to give to people, like a thank you note, if they like making those types of things, I feel like this is still a really good option, and maybe eventually my daughter will like it more. Again, I think if she gave it a chance, then she would really like it. But trying to do that kind of handwriting at first, I remember getting a calligraphy set when I was a child, and I did it sometimes. I would pull it out just randomly and do it, but it wasn't my favorite thing, and it's hard. So trying to learn a new skill like that is just kind of hard. So I think that might be a part of it as well. Another thing we got for this same daughter, this 10-year-old daughter, she was 10 at the time, was stuff to make a quilt. So I had gone to Joann's and bought fabric strips and just a few different colors and stuff like that, and gave that to her and gave her a gift card saying that we'd pay for the rest, like to make a small quilt. And so we did that, and she loves sewing it. It took a good chunk of the year. Again, I feel like all children are like this. Let me know if your kids are like this, where they kind of just go like this with what they want to do and what they like. Sometimes I forget projects that they have because they'll work on it for so long, and then all of a sudden they're just not interested in it, and they start working on something else, and then they'll come back to it, and I'm just like, okay, cool. But that's kind of how this project was. She did it, and then she didn't for a while, and then she did it some more. And so we're at the point though right now, if you guys have any advice, I sew, but I'm not a quilter, and I haven't sewn as much in recent years because my life is consumed with a lot of other things. And so I just haven't done too much of it. I have a Bernina, so I have a really nice sewing machine, but my kids don't. And she picked like a minky fabric for the back, but it almost has like it's not plastic. I don't even know what you call it. It's not the same as just like a normal minky fabric. It has a harder layer on the back of it that is so hard for the needle on the sewing machine to get through. We tried to tie it just with yarn, because I was like, well, if she can't just go up and down the strips to kind of quilt it, then we'll try to tie it. And I couldn't get a needle through it either, because it just has this weird layer that's so hard to get anything through. So if you have advice on what to get through, my mother-in-law we have a cousin, I think, that is doing some quilting. So she's like, well, maybe she could quilt it for you, like on a bigger machine. So that we might do that. I'm not really sure, but that kind of held it at a standstill. So the blanket is ready to be either quilted or tied. We're just trying to figure out how to do it. And then we need to put the binding on it, and then it'll be done. But it was a really good project. Again, she worked on it in spurts, and sometimes she worked on it for hours on end and really loved it. So if you have someone that's into sewing, whether it's quilting or clothes, doing something like that might be a really good option for them. My almost 10-year-old son was almost 9 last year, and he loves outer space. He still loves outer space. If you've seen my recent Christmas video, you will see there's some outer space things in it, either for Christmas or his birthday. I can't remember which one. And so last year he wanted one of the Bill Nye science labs, and he loved it. Loved it so much. There was so many things to do. It does have virtual reality goggles, so you can put a phone up to it and do some things with that. But there was a lot of experiments to do. There's just some good reading materials and things like that. And he loved going through that thing. He loved experimenting. And along with that, we got him a solar system that was Legos. It's, again, not the Lego brand, but it had like the sun in the middle, and you have the earth, and then it had all the other planets, I think, rotating around, and it would rotate. I think the first time he put it together, it was a little bit difficult. Like he had missed something and it wasn't working as well, but he has taken it apart and put it together a few times. And I think it is functioning better. He figured out what he had done wrong. So another great thing about Legos is you can take them apart and rebuild them, which both of my older boys have done that. Or you can build new things out of them. I know not all of them are conducive to that, but there are a lot of them that use similar pieces so you can build new things. And so that was something that was really, really great for him. He like absolutely loved both of those things last year. And like I said, the Bill Nye Science Lab had so many things for him to do. He just kept pulling it out and he just loved it so much. And then last year, my almost 7-year-old daughter wanted a remote control car. All my kids have gone through this, like, I want a remote control car thing. But I didn't want to just give her a remote control car. I wanted her to be able to build it and have it be a little bit more like a Lego or a STEM thing, you know, just that she has to put it together and then use it. And so we found this like off-road Jeep type thing on Amazon, and she did build it, and it lasted for a little while, but it quickly broke. So even though it was something that I was like, okay, maybe this will last a little bit longer because she can build it and she can take it apart and build it again. It just, I don't know what it was about it, but it just wasn't as good a quality as I thought it was gonna be. But also it could have been something with her. Maybe she didn't take as good of care of it as she could have as well. But it did work well for the time that it did work. And then once it stopped working, and once I think she lost a few pieces, it quickly was just broken and we just had to throw it away. So that's one of the things like I'm on the fence about. I'm like, maybe it was just us and her using it and it would be totally fine for someone else, or maybe other people have had that experience as well. I'm not really sure. I've tried to look at the reviews and make sure that I'm buying things that generally people have liked, but that doesn't always work out. And again, sometimes it just doesn't work out for us because of the way that we use it. Another thing that we got for that same daughter was a microscope and a few like outdoorsy, like a notebook, binoculars, things for her to be able to go outside and observe things or bring them back in. And this was like a beginning microscope. That was what it is advertised as. And I feel like it is a very good microscope. We still have it. It's not like, it's not gone, okay? And the problem is I'm just not good at pulling that kind of stuff out. If you're around here for a homeschool, I'm good at, like, if they have the curriculum, they pull it out, we do it, but extra stuff is just hard for me. And so we haven't pulled it out as much, and we don't have a good place to store it where my little kids won't get a hold of it and stuff. And so it's up a little bit higher in the closet. She forgets about it, I forget about it. So we just need to be better at pulling it out. They have done a few things. They've tried to find, it has some slides already that have different, I think, leaves on them. And I don't know if there's bugs, but there's definitely different types of leaves. But they also have empty ones, empty slides that you can go find your own things and put in there as well. And so there's a lot of good options for that. I think there's a Petri dish as well. So there's a few different things that you can do with it. It's just a fun thing to have for kids to be able to see and look at the world around them from, you know, very close up. So I still think it's a really good gift. We just have not utilized it in the best way possible. The next thing is a Little Tykes basketball hoop. Obviously, a lot of people love these. They're good for a lot of little kids. And we thought that he was almost 2-year-old would love it, because I think he really enjoyed throwing balls around or just rolling them and stuff. So we get this basketball hoop and he won't even use it. I think he sort of does now, almost a year later, but still not as much as we thought. I'm just like, what is your problem? If we would sit there and make the baskets, he loved it. He loved it when we would do it, but he wouldn't do it. But he loves to play with balls. He'll go out and try to shoot hoops at our next door neighbor's house, like all these things, but he will not play with a basketball hoop. But I still think it's a really good gift, even if my child is a little weird and won't play with it. And the balls are just fun anyways. It came, I think, with 3. And so my she's almost 16 months old right now. She likes to play with the balls. Everyone likes to play with the balls. Those are fun, even if they don't like to shoot them in the hoops. So it's a good like indoor size, like if you have a basement or a space or the room where things aren't gonna get broken if they're throwing a ball around, then I feel like it's a really good option, especially for young kids. And then we got some group gifts last year. We also did the same thing this year. And one of those things that we got last year was a Kindle, like a kid's Kindle. I'm not sure if Amazon still has this one. They change stuff so much and I'm not like up to date on the new Kindles and everything. I just know that it's showing the one we got last year that is unavailable. So maybe they have a new one, but it also came with like 1 year of Kindle Kids, so that you could go on to that and find some more books and stuff for kids. And we have loved it. I know there was some like critiques like, one Kindle, how's that gonna work out? And there have been fights. That's just gonna be normal. But it's also taught sharing. And they have like physical books to read. They go to the library very often and come back with so many books. And so they'll take turns. Right now, my oldest son has been using the Kindle a lot just because he's reading books that my husband had on his Kindle, and so putting them on there has been easier, like just to transfer them or whatever. And so it's been nice for like bigger books that we don't have, because he's getting into an age where he's reading a little bit more like mature, older books, and we don't necessarily have physical copies of all of those, and they could be more expensive anyways. And so he uses it more than some of my other kids, but they also use it. And it was nice. I think when we went on a trip, we took it with us because then he could have it. We didn't have to bring a billion books. They could just take turns with the Kindle every night once they'd gotten through the books they brought to look at before bedtime. And so it's worked out well. Maybe having two would be better, but for the most part, there's been minimal fighting and like months in between fights. So I feel like it's been really good, and it's nice to just have that option, like, oh, here's a Kindle, and we don't have to give him our Kindle. If he wants to read certain types of books, he can just read them on the kids' Kindle. Another thing we got for our kids to share last year was a hoverboard, and they loved it. Loved it so much. I didn't. It was kind of loud. We never could figure out how to turn the volume down. It's not, the one we got is not available on Amazon. I think it was supposed to, like, it had crazy lights and stuff, so it was more like a disco one or something. But my kids loved, they rode it around the house a lot. Once my toddler started getting a little bit bigger, we had to put it outside in the garage because he would unplug it, or he'd keep pushing the on button, or he'd do all sorts of things. So they haven't used it as much the last like half of this year, but they used it a ton at the beginning, and they'd even like put my toddler on it and go around with him, and he really loved that. So I feel like it's a fun gift. Would I get one for all of my kids? No, I don't think we need that many. But I do think it's fun. If they were to ride it outside, they have to wear a helmet, because that's just our rule. Like any of those types of things, they have to wear a helmet. They don't get to just go and do whatever they want. And so inside, they didn't have to wear a helmet. They were just basically going up and down right here in front of the kitchen and stuff. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And our floor is more forgiving than cement and asphalt. So anyways, they mostly rode it inside. There was a few times they took it outside just because we live in a colder climate and there's snow in the winter time, like lots of it. So going outside isn't as feasible. And so they mostly rode it inside, and it was fine most of the time. Another family gift we got, more geared towards my younger kids, was like a Montessori climbing gym. So like a wood climbing gym that has like a bridge, a slide that you can flip, and has like a rock climbing wall, and it has another ladder, or like a triangle type ladder that goes like this, and they can climb up and go down. And so we still have it. It still works really well. I thought my kids would use it more, especially my little kids. My toddler loves to climb on things, and he didn't use it nearly as much as I thought he would, but they do enjoy building it into other things. They use it to make forts. All my older kids will set it up so that they can lay blankets over it and make forts, so it's multifunctional. But my 16-month-old she's just starting to walk. She's my slowest walker. All my kids are walking before 1 except her, and she's number 6. So she just decided to take her time. And so I think she'll start climbing on it more. She likes those kinds of things. And she'll like pay attention to things. My toddler just moves so fast that he just doesn't even really pay attention to what's going on around him. So we still have it, we still use it, we build forts out of it, they climb on it. And I think once she gets a little bit bigger, she'll use it as well. The last thing I wanted to mention is a waffle maker, which might kind of sound a little bit boring, but I needed something that would make bulk waffles. And we have like the Belgium waffle maker, but those waffles are so thick. And I was like, I don't necessarily want those kind of waffles to be able to make a whole bunch and freeze them. And so I got one of the ones that is just flat and has the 4 like squares that you can break apart. And that one it's been so much better for like freezing bulk waffles. I'm like, not pancakes. And so we haven't recently done as much. Again, we go through waves. Everybody goes through waves with everything, I think, where we make a ton of waffles and then we kind of get sick of them and we don't make them as much. And then we go back to it. So usually I'll just do pancake mix because I'm a little bit lazy, and my kids can do that too. Just mix a bunch of pancake mix together, make a bunch of waffles, and then flash freeze them, and then put them in bags. And then they can take them out, they can put them in the microwave, they like put them in the toaster and just eat them. And it's just a quick breakfast that's more filling than just cereal or something. So, and you can make them protein waffles too. Like you could do a whole lot of things with them. It doesn't have to just be normal pancake mix waffle. And so that was the reason I got that, and I really love it. They actually have been just making waffles at breakfast lately the last few days. I feel like the last week all of a sudden they're just pulling out the waffle maker and just making waffles every single morning for breakfast, which is totally fine with me to have like fresh waffles. And so that's what they've been doing, but it's been an easier one for us to use for what we needed it for than the big Belgian waffle maker. All right, so that is my review of some of the things that we got last year for Christmas, how they're still working, a few of them that are not, or that we sort of regret buying. And so comment down below and let me know what you got last year, if you liked it or not. Like, do you think that it was a good idea or it wasn't a good idea? And also let me know if you like these kind of videos, like going through and reviewing things and letting you know actual thoughts after the fact, after we've used it. And remember to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.